Well, welcome Malcolm. Good to have you here with us today. You are the Director of MJS Business and Financial Services over in Perth, Western Australia. You've been providing tax and financial accounting advice since 1987. You started as a sole practitioner about 14 years before moving into partnership 5 years ago. So could you just tell us, why was it that you chose to enter public practice?
At the time when I first started out, I was working in a practice where it was a bit of a sweatshop attitude towards the staff. It wasn't that much fun, and I just thought I could go out and do a better job myself and look after the clients better. So I went home, set up from home.
So how long were you operating from home?
About 7 years. Just got to a point where I was making enough money and sort of got stuck, and I was thinking, well, that was all great and good to build it up to that size, so what's next? So then I moved out into an office and started to put on a few more staff. That was pretty challenging at the start, but then once we got over that, an opportunity came up to merge with another practice, which is another 7 years later, oddly enough. And we did that, and we merged, and it's been pretty successful since then.
Fantastic, well done.
Thank you.
So what would you say are some of the benefits of being in public practice?
In public practice, you can create whatever you like, whether you want to be a big practice, a small practice, how many clients you want, how many staff you want. If you're in charge, you can make all those decisions, what sort of clients you want. It's all completely up to you, so at the end of the day, it's whatever you want.
Here's a good question. So what are you most proud of in your career?
Some of the work that I've done for clients, helping them achieve their goals, creating wealth for them, also providing the opportunity for 10 people to pay off their mortgages and their kids' school fees, and all that sort of thing is really pleasing as well.
So how would you define success?
Success is not having to worry about cash flow. That's success. Other things is, I don't know, it's probably one of those intangibles that every time you get comfortable you think, well, actually I need to try to do something harder to keep challenging yourself, keep growing and developing. Was
that how come you moved into financial planning?
No, financial planning I moved into because doing the right thing, referring people outside the practice. I referred them to a financial advisor, and he came back and tried to sell them some multi-level marketing green powder. So it really wasn't what the clients were looking for. So I just brought all that back in-house and said, look, we've got to do it. And yeah, I joined a dealer group and been working with them for over 15 years now, so it's been really good.
How do you see financial planning services evolving into the future?
Well, given the current state of the economy, it's a great challenge, but the need for the advice and structuring is still there, so it's still a valid part of whatever services you can offer to your clients. It's still absolutely important. If someone retires today, they've still got to know what to do and how to provide for the rest of their lives and that sort of thing. So that advice is still very important.
So what are some of the attributes of your firm's culture?
There's no one there after 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so everyone's gone. They can start and finish when they like, so the staff are quite happy to do that. But some of the things we do in Perth, Melbourne Cup Day is not a public holiday in Perth. We close the office and go out to the races anyway in Perth and spend the day out there, which is great fun. We close the office between Christmas and New Year, and that time off isn't counted as part of the staff annual leave, so I'm sure they're very grateful for that. A couple of weeks ago we hired the Gold Class Cinema and took everyone and their partners along to that, so that was really good. And we have a couple of lunches and that throughout the year, so it's sort of a very encouraging, fun sort of place to work, I feel anyway. None of the conditions that I had to put up with when I was starting out, yeah.
So what's been the impact of that as far as staff retention and how everyone feels about the place?
Staff retention's been pretty good. We've put on a number of people and then soon discovered they weren't going to fit, so they've disappeared. But the group we've got there now is the best it's ever been, and it's really pleasing. Whilst productivity is part of what we do, so we see that everyone's doing what's expected, so that's really good, and that helps us as well. So we're trying to develop some sort of profit share model, get them further engaged in what we're doing. The other things that we're doing is empowering them to make a lot of the decisions. whether it's with clients, and like they can choose whether or not we're going to keep a client.
So they get involved right down to that level?
Yeah, they're also involved, they do the scoping on the jobs. We do a price up front model for most of our clients, so the team get involved in the scoping of the jobs and knowing what's got to be done and that sort of thing. So it's great because the partners are probably the most gutless ones when it comes to billing clients in a practice. So yeah, no, they do a very good job. Yeah.
So the team gets involved in doing the bills?
Absolutely. If they're not sure about something, they'll come and ask. But generally, I'd say 70% or more of the bills are done by the team. So
Frees up the partners even more?
Absolutely. So our job in the practice, I see, my job is particularly is doing a lot of the strategic work for the practice and just encouraging the staff. I do a little bit of client work, but more working on the business, not in it, sort of stuff.
So speaking of the hours worked, what sort of days per week do you guys work?
Yes, my partner and I, we've worked out that we only need to be there 9 days a fortnight, which is fantastic. We've been running that for about 2 years now, yeah. And in July next year we're going down to a 4-day week each. So
okay,
that'll make it very easy for the partners. The staff are welcome to do the same if they want to take a 20% cut in their salary. But no, they work their flexible hours, so they're happy with that.
And holidays for partners?
Yes, 6 weeks a year.
6 weeks a year.
My partner's also on the CPA disciplinary committee, and I'm involved in another 2 or 3 committees within CPA, so that time doesn't come off our holidays either. That's all over and above. So.
Okay. So what committees are you involved in with CPA?
I'm chairman of the WA Public Practice Committee. I've had that role for about 2 years now, and that's been very good. We've had some good things happen out of that committee, particularly setting up the WA Convention for public practitioners.
Yeah.
It was quite exciting to get that, to be involved from like right at the start and get that to the point where it's actually happened, and it turned out quite successful. Then the other roles is on PPAC, the Public Practice Advisory Committee.
Yep.
It's a national body, and we meet in Melbourne 3 times a year, so contribute to that. That's really good.
Yeah. So you're putting a bit of an effort into CPA.
Yeah.
What's been some of the probably some of the impacts of that on yourself personally?
Oh, well, personally, I get to travel. I get away from the practice 3 times a year, so that's
You're only there 4 days a week.
Yeah. But you do pick up a lot more information and being able to network with other practitioners, so you pick up bits from them. Also, you get clued up on some of the legislation and that sort of stuff that you might not pick up working in an office or in your practice, whatever. By being on these committees, you get more advanced warning or knowledge of what's going on in that area.
Yeah. Now, being a partner in a successful firm, involved in that is the role of being a leader. So how would you demonstrate, or how do you see yourself demonstrating leadership and thought leadership in your practice and in the community?
It's very much empowering the staff. My greatest challenge with the staff is making them feel confident about what they're doing or what they're doing. They can do the stuff, and a lot of times when they come and ask questions, I won't give them the answer. I'll ask what their answer is, and most times you just agree with what the answer they come up with. So you try and reinforce to them, look, I've just agreed with what you've proposed, so maybe next time you don't really need to come and see me, that you know what's right, you know what they've got to do. And that's what I try and way I use it to empower them.
Yep, and helping build their confidence.
Absolutely, because you can't be out of the practice all that time if everyone relies on you making the decisions.
And again, that frees up more time and ability for you.
Exactly, and with technology today, you don't really need to be in your practice all the time
Actually,
to
in the office.
run it. Yeah, you can leave the office and do other things, but still have a handle on what's happening in your practice.
Yeah. Now, corporate social responsibility is becoming quite popular and a bit of a thing out there at the moment. How are you guys involved in corporate social responsibility, and do you have a strategy that you follow in that area?
We're trying to develop that in our profit share model, that we think part of whatever profit we create or generate, part of that should go to charity. We're still developing that, but we do have, at Christmas time, we've got the collection boxes so people can bring all the food and that in, and we top that up to make sure there's a reasonable contribution there. A number of our staff, one of the staff members is involved in the dog's home, so we always encourage that sort of thing. But given my other roles, it's a bit hard to do a lot more.
Fantastic. So outside of work, what would you say that you're passionate about?
I love my footy.
Yeah.
Go every week, every home game, and remarkably, the footy team plays in Melbourne quite regularly as well. So being able to tie that in with the other responsibilities is good.
So when you're in Melbourne, you just check to see the schedule to see if there's some games on while you're here?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So
how about work-life balance? How do you go about achieving that? You've got a young family?
Yeah, I've got a little boy. He's 4 next month, so keeps us pretty busy. Mm-hmm. So again, part of the plan is my partner. He's got a little boy as well who's coming up to being 1
mm-hmm.
year old. So it's important for us to spend times with our family, and having that time off, those shortened weeks, allows you to do that, and it's really good. Yeah.
What skill sets and personality traits do you think are important to be successful in public practice?
Well, the obvious one's the technical side. You've got to have some sort of technical base. You don't have to be the best technical expert, but you need to know where you can go to get those resources if you need them. So an organisation like CPA has a good tax area that if you have questions, you can ask them. But individually, you also need to be able to communicate with people. You know, well, I think those are probably the two most important, is being able to communicate and the technical side.
So communicate staff and clients?
Absolutely. Again, always encouraging your staff, because they're the most important asset in the practice, is the staff. So you want to actively develop them, encourage them, do whatever you can, and also being able to communicate with clients, because if the client can't talk to you, they're not going to bother with you, they'll go somewhere else where they can.
So of those skills that you mentioned, do you think they're transferable and to others in the practice, or can be trained up?
You just got to constantly work on them. It's not. Well, some people are natural talkers, some others aren't. But if you keep working on it, you do better. You might not be the best, but you do better.
Okay.
And I guess that's one of the themes of our practice as well, is that continual improvement.
So with communication, you talked about communicating with your staff. Do you then encourage them to communicate with clients?
Absolutely. The senior staff particularly are allowed to ring the clients. They don't have to say to or come to the partner saying, I need all these questions answered. They're able to deal directly with the clients, again, because you want to free up your time. And people are worried that the staff might leave, but that can happen. But if you look after them, it's unlikely to. And it just frees up your time.
Of course, there is a risk that I've heard oftentimes, that if the staff build up a close relationship with the clients, those clients are at risk of leaving the firm. Yeah, any thoughts on that?
Clients can leave a practice for any number of reasons, so that may be one. You still deal with the clients, but not necessarily like chasing up the information side of it and that sort of thing. So if you go and do the financial statements or whatever, the staff are compiling those, by all means they ring up and ask all those questions, but when it's finished, then you'd still come back and sit down with the client, go through it and have that discussion about, you know, this is what you've done, where you're going next, sort of thing.
And so actually, by including financial planning, you're involved in the financial planning?
Yep, partly,
and your staff are involved in some of the compilation work. So you've actually got a few different levels of relationships with the client.
That's it.
So yeah. I don't want to say tied in, but they are pretty well connected to the practice anyway.
Yeah, one of the benefits of providing financial planning is that we're basically a one-stop shop. So we can do all the investments, superannuation, those sort of traditional investments. Yeah. We can also do, through our dealer group, we can do home loans, business loans, commercial loans. So we can do that as well. And obviously we prepare tax returns. So at the moment, we can provide the whole gambit of financial services, whereas some of the competitors, they can't do tax returns, or so a bank can't do a tax return, that sort of thing. Yeah. They might be developing that currently, who knows, but at the moment, if a client comes to us, we can basically do everything for them.
And yet you're still able to work a 4-day week?
I've empowered the staff. That's the benefit of empowering the staff, is that you don't need to be there all the time.
Okay, are they working a 4-day week?
No, they don't. No. They've got to turn up. Yeah. The staff, they work hard while they're there, so I'm very pleased with that. if they wanted to work a 4-day week or whatever, then that would be negotiated into their package, so there's no requirement that they be there.
You mentioned earlier they leave at 5.
Yep.
Okay, so how important is technology in your practice?
Yeah, all the senior staff, the accountants, have got remote access. Our senior staff have got families too, so during the school holidays or something, they might not necessarily come in, but they'll spend a couple of hours each day anyway in a time that suits them, still doing work, so that works really well. Not that we constantly expect them to be working, but it gives them that flexibility in their life. So,
are you finding, do they dial in or link in from home after hours?
Some of them do, yeah. They'll, whether it's late at night or early in the morning, they get up early and do a couple of hours before the kids get up, and then deal with the kids, and then they may come into the office or they may stay at home and do some more. So, yep. And for us it's great because they're happy, they can fit their families in, and we retain some good workers by doing that.
Pretty flexible workforce, and the way you deal with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what are your top tips for graduates wishing to enter public practice?
Leave Facebook at home. Look, just try and learn as much as you can. Get involved in different areas. Don't be scared to ask questions, because the more you learn, the more valuable you become. And the only way you learn more is by asking questions. So,
what are your tips for those that are already in public practice, wishing to further develop their careers?
To further develop your careers, well, obviously any career in this field is about learning as much as you can. So you've got to have that continual learning, that CPD, and again, CPA offers so much of that, even for free if you can't afford it. There's plenty on there that's on the website that's free. And also you need to develop those interpersonal skills, being able to speak in front of a group of people. It doesn't necessarily need to be hundreds, but being able to stand up in front of a group and confident of talking.
What's the best way to develop those skills? That's one of the most nerve-wracking moments for a lot of people.
Just seek out the opportunities and do it as much as you can.
So just practice?
Just practice. It gets easier. It doesn't get any harder. It does get easier, so yeah, keep working on it.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, the landscape is always evolving, yeah, certainly in the accounting profession, the business environment. So looking into the future, what do you see as some of the opportunities and challenges ahead?
Some of the opportunities, cloud computing, everyone talks about that. That's probably an exciting opportunity. Again, it creates circumstances like for business owners, if they want to get away more but they still want to keep their hands on their business, if they can look up their accounts on the internet wherever they are, then that gives them that some level of comfort, whereas some people are frightened to go away. So that's an opportunity to encourage clients as well to achieve a better work-life balance. The other challenges, well, who knows where the economy is going at the moment. That's an absolute challenge for everyone. But all you can do is go out and do what you do every day. Just keep trying to improve.
So given those uncertainties in the market at the moment, what do you see as the opportunities for accountants?
The opportunities for accountants in this environment is to very much to hold clients' hands, encourage them, keep them looking forward, and not to bellyache what's gone wrong or how they might be badly affected or anything, but to keep looking to the future and trying to work towards their future and keep, it's not going to be bad forever. When this isn't the end of the world, this is just another.
Get through it.
This is just another speed bump along the way of life's journey. So keep working at it.
Malcolm Stewart, thanks for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Peter.